bitches. Hilarious. We tried so hard to wait. And we're so backwards, man. I don't know. I gotta delete Prezi off here. Oh my gosh. I love it. Okay. Hi, you guys.
Hi.
Hello, everybody.
Welcome,
Thank
Oz.
you for joining us tonight for creating your own grimoire. This is a big topic. I don't know that we'll be done in 30 minutes. There's a lot to go into. And what we really encourage from you guys is to ask questions in the chat. And I will be sort of monitoring the chat since I'm on this side, even though
She's on the chat side.
I'm on the chat side. Because this is, it's very complex, right? And it's unique to everybody. And there's no one way to do it. So as you ask questions and you start to feel out what you really want to do, that's our hope for tonight. Our goal is to truly help you build a grimoire for your personal use, not so that everybody has the exact same one. So if you are into that goal, that's what this live is about tonight.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's so funny because as we've been researching this particular episode here or live here, I started doing some work and I want to show you guys something. So I have been practicing almost 5 years.
I can't believe that now.
Almost 5 years.
5 years.
And these
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Okay, so these are all of the grimoires that I have started. And when for a grimoire, these are like reference books, and I start them and then I put them away and then I forget about them. So this is actually going to really help me as a newer witch, like many of you, get organized and create something that is not all over the place and has some structure to it. So we're going to talk about all that.
Yes. I just want to say hi to Selena and Jenny and Nanika, Denise, and Mole. I don't know Mole. Hi, Mole.
Hi, all.
Thank you for being here with us, you guys. Grimoires for me didn't come about until like 10 years ago when witchcraft got big and everybody was like, ooh, bringing all these fancy words into stuff. So when I learned about the whole grimoire thing, I was like, oh, okay, that's really cool. Because I have like 50,000 books, and basically it's taking those 50,000 books.
You mean notebooks?
No, I mean like witchcraft books.
Oh, witchcraft books. Okay. Yeah.
All right, maybe not 50,000, maybe like 57.
Maybe 100.
So I have a lot of books that talk about different things. So when new books come out, I like to read them. I like to know other people's perspectives. I'm just very interested in what other witches are doing because I grew up in my witchcraft with no influence, back when internet pages were like dial up and there was nothing online and just a whole thing. Feel very grateful and blessed that you're in this right now because there is just witchcraft stuff everywhere. I love it. And I don't care that it's gaining in popularity and people aren't real witches, but they like the vibe. Cool. Join my side. I'm okay with that. Anyway, with having like 57 books on different topics, that is sort of the range of what our references are. As we buy books, we use them to grow our practice. The grimoire is supposed to be just your references, just your correspondences, if you want to write spells in there, whatever it is, but it's supposed to be unique to you. So that's kind of answering the first thing we were going to talk about.
Well, actually, I read a really great description of what a grimoire is.
What is a grimoire?
What is a grimoire? So, and it inspired me. Actually, when I read this, I was like, oh my gosh, I never have thought. I've always just thought of these notebooks that I've had as like writing down things that I was learning, that I was coming across, whether it was plants or flowers or colors or astrology or tarot, whatever. So I would just record that stuff. But here is the description that I wrote. And I was like, oh my gosh, check it out. A grimoire is an organic, evolving piece of art and magic.
I love it.
I love that.
It's very, it gives the sense of the creativity. What are the words that stick out to you the most in that to understand what a grimoire is for you?
I think it's organic art and magic because I never really thought I never really thought of this. Actually, and somewhere else in the same text I read, it's this living thing.
It's
right?
evolving.
It's evolving.
That's probably my biggest word for it is you don't ever write just one grimoire once you've written one. When you're young in your practice or new, you write your first one. And maybe it's not so great. And you're like, wow, well, I tried that and I wasn't that great at it. And then you practice and then you figure out, oh, you know, it'd be really helpful if I had all of this in one place. And then you write your second one. And so I don't know if it itself, like the first one you write, evolves and grows, but you write multiples usually throughout your practice because you start to hone things. You start to really understand, like, what is your vibe with this? What do you want from it?
Right.
Like everybody's grimoire would be different. There'd be witches who write all about different pantheons of gods and goddesses, and that is not really in mine.
Yeah, there's witches who, like, every day they honor deities that they follow or worship or whatever you call that. I don't do that. That's why I'm like, what do they call that? I don't have any idea because that's not part of my practice.
Yeah. So with each of us having our own practice, that's what really goes and makes this all very unique.
Right. But there are some things that can be, if you think about this like broad structure, architecture, If you think about this is a book that needs to be structured.
It should have structure.
It should be organized in some kind of a way that makes sense to you.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And if you just start picking up notebooks and writing things down as they come up, I didn't know that wasn't like the best approach to take. Now that I've read a little bit about actually creating this evolving piece of magic and art for myself, I have a better understanding of how I should. It's like when you're going to write a book report and you got to make the outline first, right? You're going to cover these topics and here's what's going to be in them. So I think, and Jamie and I have differing opinions about this. So you're probably going to hear us arguing about it.
Yeah.
Because again, new witch, 5 years, old witch, 25 plus years.
I'm old.
So, we're in different places in our practice.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that we would have different views about what this is. And with me being so new, I'm like at the very beginning of where Jamie was when she was printing off whatever, when you were looking at stuff dial up, if you could even find anything on witchcraft.
It was really tough.
In 1998.
Yeah, it was very tough. It was very, very tough. With I guess the definition that I like for what is a grimoire, besides just being a magical book full of correspondences that you write yourself, I think that it really turns into being your guide, whether you're new or you've been practicing a while. It's your guide. It's usually things you have already worked with or you're going to work with or that you have on hand. It's your record also. As you write down a spell that you've done or you create your own, it's a record of what you've worked with or what you liked. And then it's also your inspiration on how to move forward from where you were in the past, which I think I rewrite grimoires probably every 5 years or so because my environment changes, the plants around me change, the stones I'm attracted to change, my desires and goals. So even my spells and their outcomes, that changes. So what I thought I wanted when I was 22, and I'm glad I didn't get a lot of it, is not what I would be doing spells for or meditations or anything like that. Now, not divinations. It's a whole new topic. So that evolving thing, that living, breathing, artistic, all of that really makes sense for, you're going to write your first one. You're probably going to hate it and feel embarrassed by it. And it's going to be ugly. And you'll be like, I could have done so much better.
Or you're going to have 7 of them incomplete.
Give it time. No, I want you to complete your first one. It's bad. No matter how bad it is, like complete your first one, but then you will most likely write more. So we are going to get into that as well.
But here's, I think the important thing to know now, especially if you're brand new, at least this is my perspective. You can share a different view if you'd like.
Okay.
But the important thing for me, what I realize now after trying 7 times to make a grimoire, is that I needed to think about what I wanted in it first.
Yes, right.
Before I started just arbitrarily writing things down on pages, which is what I did. As I came across information, I wrote it down and I already knew, because I'm super OCD. And so, if it's not organized for me, I'm like, tear
How do you
out
find
pages,
stuff?
scribble stuff out, whatever. It makes
Yeah.
me crazy, right?
Yeah.
It's got to be organized. So I think the first step, my opinion, as a newer witch, is to have some kind of a structure that you're going to like. What are you going to include? What are those main topics going to be? Because you're going to buy a book, a journal.
Notebook,
You're going to buy a
journal,
journal. Like I bought.
leather bound.
I have. Oh, wait a minute. I want to show you something. So in addition to the 7 books that I started journals with, I also have
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Again, 7.
I also have another 7 books that I planned to turn into grimoires, right? And this one I really liked because it's got like it's a little, but it's so small.
This is about the aesthetic of it. We all also like the aesthetic.
This is so tiny. Like what am I going to fit on these pages? It's not going to fit very much. So today I bought a new one that's 200 pages and like bigger, and it's bound. I'm going to start mine, but I guess my point of saying is, what are the sections? So I think you need sections. Start with sections. Like, it could be, one could be divination and then all the divination things, or if you're big into tarot, you might have a section for tarot, but it's kind of like make the outline first, because you have to divide up. Somewhere you got to have breaks in all of these pages. You got to be able to get to the section about, divination or crystals, or this is all blank, of course, this is just an example, but that's my approach right now. Jamie may have a different approach.
No, it's in line with what I talk about as I help people build their own grimoires. What I tell them to do is, you're going to have to make decisions first. And most people don't want to do that. They want to create. They're ready to like get in there, make things beautiful, just write shit down. Like here's what I love all this.
Yep.
But there's decisions to be made first. So if you're taking notes, I want you to write down the decisions that you should make before starting your actual grimoire, because this is going to be a personal reference book for you. The things that I have, I guess really the way that I break it up. Okay, so you want to create a grimoire. You sort of have 2 ways of going about it. All right, I'm going to explain the 2 ways of going about creating your own grimoire. Number 1, you're brand new to the craft. You really don't have a lot of materials, tools. You haven't done spells. You haven't really acquired the things, because grimoires are about the things, but also energies and stuff, things that we can't have. But so normally you would have your correspondences, whether it's herbs and stones, tarot cards, runes. Help me out with anything else I can't think of. The tools astrology you might use. Yeah. I mean, so then so those are all things you physically keep. And then there's the things that can help you in your practice, knowing the astrology, moon phases, all the
elements,
other stuff.
All the elements,
the things that are a little, colors are huge for
days
me.
of the week, colors.
So you can see that there's just a lot of different things. So when you're brand new in this practice and you don't really have a little treasure trove of witchy things, then what you should do is you should decide, pick an area, pick stones, pick colors, pick auras, pick your chakras, planets, goddesses, gods, whatever. Pick that and then look into it for a little bit and decide who you vibe with most, and then only put in like who you vibe with or who you'd want to work with at that time. You don't need to list out every pantheon and every god there was and everything that they did. It doesn't help you to be overloaded with all that information. Write down who you want to work with, say in the next year or 2 years. This aligns with your goals. This aligns with your plans for the future, what you want to bring into your practice. Do that with these categories of witchcraft things, right? Whatever it is for you. I would not do tarot just because it's expansive. It would take up an entire book for me.
I have like a whole book.
I'd have my own book for tarot.
I have a half a book on tarot.
So
one of those books is
you can start to see, you can start to see as you get into some of these topics, you're like, oh, wow, I'm not sure that belongs in my grimoire because I want to be able to find things quickly when I'm trying to put things together. That's probably a really good actual thing. I didn't write this down, but what do we even use grimoires for? Why do we want to have one? Why would we write one? Why would we create one at all?
Yeah.
That's actually a really good topic.
Yes.
Maybe you never need one. Maybe you just get out your crystal book, your herb book, you get out your other 5 books that you already own.
Your other reference books that you already have.
Yeah. You can do that instead. You do not have to create your own book for just your practice, you keep all these other books that have all these references of things that you may or may not own or may not ever work with. The purpose of a grimoire is to keep your own preferences and the things that you do, like, have on hand. So when you want to go create a spell, a ritual, whatever it is, you can look in your book and go, oh, okay, so I have lapis lazuli, I have moonstone, amethyst, citrine, so you're looking at your stones, you're like, oh, which one of these aligns with what I want to do? So that's how you really use the grimoire and why we would write it in the first place. That brings me to the second way to write a grimoire or organize it. Collect all of the witchy things that you've already bought. That
if you've been doing it for like 5 years and you bought a lot of stuff.
Have a little, set out trays. Have a tray for the stones that you've already collected, or I'm not into the tarot thing, but
the essential oils. I've got stones. I've got lots of stones. I have lots of essential oils.
Okay.
Let's see, what else do I have? I've also collected samples of also have things like snake skin.
Yeah.
Dead lizards, shark's teeth. I have a dead lizard. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I'll have to look up the meaning of lizard, what's the correspondence with that?
Now we're really getting into the old school witchcraft. It's like lizards' tongues and baby's toenails or something.
I have bark. I have bark from a 100-year-old tree that was downed during Hurricane Ian.
Yeah.
I have bark. I have dried flowers. I have these things, but I just have them, and I'm if I had to use them or wanted to use them in a spell, I'm okay, what is that for? What's the correspondence around there? So so I have things like that. And I have many books on tarot and astrology. Those are two. I've always been interested in both of those subjects. So I might do. You start
to see some of your sections that you're building, right?
Exactly. Yes. Yeah.
So when you have the stuff already, your sections sort of are already made for you because you've already collected things that you've
already gravitated to things that interest you.
Yeah.
So you have a collection of crystals. You have a collection of tarot cards and tarot books, or astrology books and natal charts and numerology. Oh, one of my favorite subjects, numerology. So I think another part of the tarot, for me anyway, another section of this book, and actually the beginning, what's going to be the beginning, except for my index, which we're going to talk about an index so you can find things when you need them.
You write them down.
When you write them.
It has 7 journals of random shit written down.
Yeah.
Is she ever going to look at them and go, oh, where was that thing I wrote down that means this?
I've done that before. Yeah. I'm I know I wrote something down about lilies. I even drew a picture of a lily, and I cannot remember what the lily was about. I don't know which book it's in. Oh my God.
That's where it comes into organizing, So I listed 2 ways to go about it. I said, if you're brand new, find what you're interested in first, spend some time with those things, whether it's, whatever the category is.
Can I add something to, if you're brand new,
sure,
things you're interested in? Okay. So here's something that I think as a newbie is a really good idea, is to start a first section about you and your family and the people who are close to you, and record things like everybody's date of birth. If you're into numerology, get their numbers, know their signs. Let's see what else would be in the, write down what you believe is, write down your beliefs and what, about your practice. What does your practice look like? What do you believe? What are the things you won't ever do? Is I personally do not believe in ever hexing anybody. I would never do that. Get your natal chart, write that stuff down so you have it. So when you want to reference your natal chart, you don't have to go looking for the 24-page thing that you printed from Cafe Astrology and flip through the pages to find, where are the planets, because you'll hear these things like
power planets.
Pluto is in something right now. So if you have a Pluto in the 3rd house, I'm where's Pluto in my chart? I have to go dig and find. So I think for me anyway, this is how I'm going to start mine. In addition to having the first, I don't know how many pages, I got to figure that part out, is going to be the index so that I can find things as I include them. But the next section of that is going to be about me, my beliefs, my practices, my family, my natal chart. Let's see, what else did I write down? My numerology, my all the things and what 33 means. I'm a 33, which is also a 6. And so on and so forth. So kind of like an about me or about you.
So this would be at the beginning of your book.
That would be at the beginning of my book. So then I have that information. And I know, so I don't have to go again. I don't have to go to another source when I want to use that information for myself.
And for me, I 100% disagree. I don't put anything.
We told you there would be differing opinions.
I'm like, no, that goes in your book of shadows as you're growing and learning yourself and all of that. But
two witches' opinions.
Oftentimes, I will tell you that I blend the two of them truly. A lot of my writings, because I don't want to write down my spell. When I write down my spell and I do everything, I'm like, okay, here's what everything means to me, all of this stuff. And I do a lot of stickers and like washi tapes, and I like making things really colorful.
Yes.
I like drawing. The whole page needs to have color on it for me. That's what my grimoire looks like. All right. I leave very few blank spaces in it, and I just don't care. I love it. It's appealing to me. On the opposite side of that, when I've done the thing, I will leave the page next to it blank so that as stuff comes true, as stuff comes to fruition, or like when I have things that are coincidental or whatever, I'm like, oh, I need to write that down as far as like what happened after the spell. So here's all the things that went right or wrong. Normally that other page would be in your book of shadows. But I live in a house that knows, like, I don't got to worry about somebody finding my book of shadows. So I can blend those two things together, but I don't write down all my personal information. It's more just like what happened or my thoughts when I'm upset, what I've learned about that, whatever. But
well, I'm very sad that I did not, the couple of spells I've done, not that many spells in my 5 years of practice, 3 or 4.
Three or four.
Well, the one that I did was a group one with you and me and Jolene when we did protection. Mm-hmm. That would have been something that I wrote down. Mm-hmm. And how that turned out. We did a protection spell when Jolene was going through some difficult things with X. But I did a love spell and I did a money spell. And now I talk about those things like, well, this is what happened. And I remember some of the things that I used in the love spell and in the money spell, and then the outcome. I know what the outcome was of the love spell, but I wish I had documented it, because it's like, I could look back at it and say, oh, because I only remember a few things that I put in it that I used in the spell.
Because she did it in an intuitive manner.
Yeah.
So then there's other ways of doing these things as well, right? List of correspondences that we find in other books do not have to be your go-to for everything. With Kat and what I've taught other witches is that when you want to do a spell and you want to do it intuitively, don't go to any books yet. Decide what the outcome is that you want, and then look around your house, your area, for things that you feel that you can justify and be like, this represents this to me, that is the outcome I'm looking for. Whatever that means for you, and I find that when witches do it that way, and then they can look back at the ingredients later or things they picked, they're like, oh, that totally aligns with what I actually wanted. I didn't even know that, and I picked it, and I got this thing. And it's a really great feeling when you're practicing that intuitive side of yourself. And even if you look it up and it's not quite right, you're like, okay, well, that's interesting. I still went with it. I chose it. So something in me must have said, I need that to be part of it.
Yeah.
I remember one time I got intuition. I got a feeling that I was supposed to take mulch from my garden, like a specific area in my garden. I was like, that's really weird. I have never been told to collect random ass mulch out of my yard. I was like, that I don't even know why. But I listened to it. I did it anyways, and it all worked out for the best. But even when I was doing it, I was going, okay, I guess you know what you're doing. Somebody, whoever's feeding me my thoughts, higher self, I guess you're just giving me, like, here's what you do. So the intuition part of that is really fun too. Sorry, we got off topic. That was into spells and things. But it's what you use your grimoire for.
Yes.
The things around your house that can be put into spells that don't necessarily exist in other people's reference books. That is unique for you. And I think that's what really makes our practice, each of us, our practice truly personal. Yeah. Mm-hmm. When you use your own items, like for money spells, countries I'd been to years ago, adding in money from every country I've ever been to or something like that. Mm-hmm. You just find your own way to think like, yeah, that means something to me. That's a good idea. All right. Okay. I talked a lot. Sorry.
Okay. What did you want? I think we went over like, what is a grimoire? I think we've explained
2 ways to build it.
2 different ways to build it.
Yeah. When you're new, find something you're interested in. go with that, and then write down the things that you actually, so say you start with stones, because that's really easy. Say you buy 10 different crystals, then write those down in your grimoire, your first page, and just what they're for, and then find a way to practice with them, find a way to use them. Because I think one of the things that we do when we're starting out is we think we need a lot of options. Like we need 25 different crystals, or we need a crystal for everything.
I need every color of every candle, which I bought. And then, well, I bought like a little rainbow, like a little, like a, it literally had pretty much every color.
I'm more down with that.
They're little color. And I haven't really used them. I might have used like one out of there. I also bought all these essential oils, and then I got gifted them, and I haven't used them because you know why? Because I don't know what the heck they're for. So
this is where your grimoire would come in.
Like I'm feeling really stressed. What's the essential oil that's going to help me feel calmer? If I knew that, I would actually use the doggone things, but I don't, because I haven't taken the time to transfer that knowledge into a place where I can find it when I need it.
Okay.
This is the whole point of this.
It's tough. Okay. So Kat just made my next point. The third way to organize your grimoire. So remember, number 1, choose your topic, write it down, and then build from there. Number 2, collect all your stuff, get them into categories, and then write them all down. Number 3, it just went out of my head that fast. Hold on. Give me a minute.
All right.
Okay. It was find your interests, write it down, get all your stuff that you have together, then do that. The next one that is actually really beneficial for a lot of people. They like this one a lot. Are you ready for it? Nobody does this yet.
I'm ready. I'm waiting.
Nobody does this yet.
I'm waiting. I don't know what this is.
You organize your grimoire by topic: love, stress, friendship, whatever, depression,
that's
jobs,
not bad.
Travel. Then inside of those sections, you write down what stone you have for that thing, what oil you have for that thing, what herb you have for that thing. Then when you know what kind of outcome you're looking for, you flip to, it's been a really rough week at work. I need stress relief. Okay, grab this, put it, and boom, stick it in my pocket, done.
And you could probably even like group categories together, like under duress.
Whatever topics you want. And think about it. You're not going to write down like 500 topics. If we went into Cunningham's Book of Herbs and all of the different, he's like herbs for this and this and this and this and this, like all the things, probably 20 of them you'll be like, I'm never going to do a spell for that. Probably.
Yeah, there's like, probably, I think
desires.
The big main topics, because I did this in a spreadsheet. Like I actually
she tried to get organized.
I tried to get organized like in a Google Docs spreadsheet and write down like the topics, the subject across the top, like love, healing, career, finance, abundance, wealth, anxiety and stress and whatever. Yeah. So I had like 12 topics across the top, and then down the side on the left, I had all these things like herbs and just crystal types. And then I started like checking. I started like
cross-referencing.
I did. I like built this spreadsheet, and I was like, oh my God, this is so overwhelming. Like, where is it now? I don't know.
Oh my God.
Because I was literally doing everything. I was taking
all the things.
in books, in virtually every witchcraft book that you buy, there'll be a table of correspondence in the back that lists all the plants, or all the popular plants, and all the crystals and all the colors and all of this stuff. And you're like, oh my gosh, when will I ever use that? But they all have them. So you can pick out the things that you either have on hand.
Have on hand is best.
Have on hand is best.
What you want to grow and know. Yeah. So what you're gonna buy, you're like, oh, okay, I actually need some. So you could.
I never thought about organizing a grimoire by sort of like this
desire.
desires.
The desired outcome for what you're looking for.
That's not bad. Actually, I kind of like that.
It
makes it super easy, because there's probably only, most people anyway that I've encountered, and all the witch groups that I'm in, and all the people that we've talked to for the last 3.5 years or so, their wants and desires fall into just a few categories.
Just a few.
Love.
Like
love,
5. Yeah. Love.
Career.
Money.
Health. That's the other one. That might be it. Because money would be like abundance and prosperity. So
Yeah.
all those things would fall under that, security and things. So, but love for sure. Wealth,
career, wealth, abundance. Yeah.
Yeah. So
health. Yeah. All right. So here's the next step, right? So now you're like, ooh, this is a good idea. Okay. So now I'm going to go look up, like, what are the herbs for this? And guess what? You're going to find 20 of them, if not more. Here's what I want you to do with all that information that's out there. Pick one, just one. Give yourself one. Learn with one, and just decide that that is your stone for this. It can do 5 other things, but that's where witchcraft and doing spell work and all of this becomes really, really heavy. And like, oh, this does like 20 things. How am I?
that's right.
That's the noise.
It gets overwhelming because there's so much information.
It's too much.
And you can't mentally, it's hard to organize it in your brain because there's literally like so much.
No, I love it when you go into crystal stores, right? And they got like the little tumbled stones and stuff, and you pick it up and it's like, this is for ancestry, heartbreak, depression, your leg problems, hip problems. I'm like, that is so many. I got to remember all those things for this one stone. Doesn't even make sense to me. So what I've done in my practice is when I have amethyst, it means one thing to me. It can mean things to everybody else. I don't care.
It has lots of meanings. Amethyst.
Many meanings.
Amethyst.
But amethyst for me is just used for one thing in my practice so that I do not get so overwhelmed with the 500 other things it might do. So smoky quartz, same thing. It has one purpose for me. Selenite, one purpose. Labradorite, all of my stones that I use regularly, they represent one true thing for me. And I just picked them. Like that was what I decided was going to be the stone.
It's kind of like sage. Sage for me is always about clearing negative, clearing out the space, clearing energy.
Yeah.
So you can
but
think,
it's actually
but it actually can do a lot of other things, right?
Wait, so many other things.
But that's the only way that I use sage.
So to make this simpler for yourselves, when you have things, do not try to list every single thing that this stone, herb,
don't make
oil,
a cross-reference spreadsheet like I did with Google Docs that you can't find anymore.
Because you'll just be confused.
It has like
again.
500 line items on
it. Not going to be good. Decide that with each crystal you have. I cracked myself up. I didn't even know that. I love that. You're so Virgo rising. You know that, right?
I am totally
so
Virgo.
Man. She can't help herself either.
I can't help myself.
Well,
I'm also a perfectionist, and we need to talk about that, about being a perfectionist with your book, because I have a comment on that. But go ahead.
Yeah. I have a thing that says make an ugly one first. Just make it ugly. Think about the things that you might do with it, and you're like, oh, okay, I'll perfect that later.
Well, you weren't done talking. I'm sorry. I broke your chain of thought.
Yeah, so it's out the window now.
Okay.
That train left the station. It didn't come back.
So when Jamie says make an ugly one first, talking about your grimoire.
Yeah.
So one of the things, probably why I have 7 different books, is because my writing got sloppy or it was disorganized in some kind of way. I was like, oh, forget this. I don't like it. I'm going to do another one. So then I pick up another book and I add some more things. And then I encounter the same thing because I haven't organized what I'm doing before I started. Mm-hmm. I think that's the biggest thing for me. For me personally, it may be different for you. I lost my train of thought.
Her train went out the window also. And did not come back to the station.
Oh, making an ugly one. Here's what I'm going to do, because I'm super anal about how things look. If my writing's sloppy, do I have to scribble stuff out? Well, I bought myself a new. Did I say this already?
I bought myself a new book, and she has all of these magical hopes and dreams that she will not miss out.
I just ordered it on Amazon today. It's really pretty. It's got the tree of life on it. It's green leather. It's got a thing that wraps around. It's got 200 pages, a little torn edges with heavy paper.
She's in love with the book.
I'm in love with the book. Like,
okay.
I can't wait to get it.
Okay.
But I'm not going to put anything in it until I organize my thoughts. And I know, like, I'm going to make my sections. I'm going to figure it out before, because otherwise I'm going to mess that up too. And I paid like $30 for it. I don't want to do that. So
use one of your books that are already
what I was going to say is I will invariably make mistakes in it, because I always do. I write fast and it's sloppy and and I don't like it. So what I'm going to do when I'm unhappy with the page, instead of being like, I need to tear this out, I'm to cover it up with artwork. I'm going to find some artwork. And I'm going to cover that up.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tear pages out. This is the thing I'm telling myself.
Yeah.
Like, don't tear
Have
out
a
the
plan
pages.
for that.
Change what that page is and make a new page, and then turn that page that you messed up on that I'm like, oh, I just hate the way this looks. And if I have to look at this, it's going to make me crazy. That's how I am personally. I'm going to turn it into art. That's it.
I love looking back at some of my older grimoires because they are cringy AF, man. They're so cringy.
Not cringy AF.
They're so cringy. I look at some of the stickers I put on stuff and I was like, what were you thinking? Why is I don't even know. But I do know with Kat saying about her mess ups, you guys, that is why I use sticky and washi tape. And I actually use that whiteout tape too. When I mess up and I don't like it, I'm like, whiteout tape. It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
I'm going to need whiteout tape for sure.
Listen, or a sticker to stick over it. A nice little happy dog or cat playing with a ball goes right over that mistake. And you're like, you're reading your thing later and you're like, this means happy cat with a ball. You know, like, why not? It's your book. You know why you did it. It's not for anybody else. So,
but it does need to, I feel like anyway, for me, I need to be happy when I look at it and not
judging yourself
and not judging myself.
Shadow work.
Judgy. Yeah.
Maybe when you make a mistake, you should circle it and say, I am not perfect. I never will be. And that's okay. I love myself. She won't do it.
I would have so many of those little.
She would have so much anxiety just being like, looking at it, she goes, yeah, that's where I fucked that up. Well, yeah, I'm glad my daughter made me write some stupid motto telling, to make it okay. No, she's never going to do it.
All right. So Jane, okay. So I'm going to share something with you about what a modern grimoire contains. And Jamie does not agree with this at all.
Could contain. Let's just say could contain.
Okay. Could contain. And Jamie doesn't agree with this.
All right. We'll just read it a little slow then.
I actually like this.
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
Right,
I'll just sit over here and judge from the sidelines.
You can interject when you want to. Okay, so a modern grimoire could contain these things. First of all, everyone's different, so it reflects you and your interests and your areas of specialization and practice and your personal correspondences. Yeah. So I think that's really important. You agree with that? Oh, I got a thumbs.
I do. It's not a thumbs up. It's an interjection to the train station.
Go ahead.
My train is coming in. A great way to think about this is that in cookbooks, right? If you're a vegan, vegetarian, pescatarian, keto, whatever, Mediterranean, you're not going to go buy like a barbecue griller's book because that is not your area of expertise. That's not where you want to put your energy. That's not your thing. So when you hear this and they talk about specialization or correspondences, you really are making it unique to what you want to work with. And that is the same way that cookbooks go. So that's just a good analogy.
Okay, so I've already talked about kind of like an intro / bio / what are my beliefs and what are my practices and things like that. I've already talked about that. So kind of like an about me, about this book section. And then deities and spirits that you find inspirational and work with. If you do that, I actually don't. I just say universe and spirit.
Yep.
So then you could also include information on like festivals and celebrations that you'll incorporate. These could be things like the Wheel of the Year. The Wheel of the Year, right? Holidays. You might want to know about that.
Yeah.
Correspondences is a huge topic.
There's books and books on it.
It's so massive that it's almost too big to be a topic. It needs to be trimmed down to some. So correspondences is everything, and everything is too much. Like it's crystals and herbs and plants and this and colors and this. It's too much. So scratch that one.
Wait, no. So how can we help them? How can we help you guys with putting correspondences in your book? Only put in there what you buy, what you have, what you're using, what you're attracted to or like. But don't just add random shit that you may never come across or that you don't want to use or that you're like, I think you gave me a really good idea for correspondence. Is like group them together by topic: love,
wealth and
It's a great
abundance
thing
and
to do.
prosperity.
It's just makes
career-
it so easy.
Career
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
What was the other one we
It
talked
was
about?
love, wealth, career, health.
Health. Okay.
Yeah.
So group your
But there's like 10.
But yeah, whatever those topics are. So if
Whatever
you're
they
going
are
to do
for
a
you.
section of correspondence, make them specific to a spell or an area that you'd actually be doing. Like you're really trying to change your path in your life. So maybe it's your psychic, maybe it's psychic, maybe it's psychic abilities,
dreams.
You know, under psychics could be dreams and like just things from the other side. So that's how I would do, instead of just making this big topic of like list all these trees and what do they mean and all these plants. Not helpful.
You're not
I've done
writing
that.
another book.
I've done that.
Right.
And it's
so
not helpful.
It doesn't make any sense to buy books or look it up online and find all of the things and then write them all down, and like that willow or that tree, aspens don't even grow in your area.
I know, like
what
ash. I was like, I remember writing down ash. I'm like, I can't even get ash here. It's not in Florida.
It's more beneficial for you to really only write down the things that you can easily obtain or that you have on hand, dried, fresh, whatever it is.
So you can go out and collect. If you can go out and collect things at your, you know, at a park near you or whatever.
Happen at a park near you?
In nature near you, those are the things that you could actually get when you needed them. That would be valuable information to have. Yeah. Okay, next section might be recipes and spells. So and those would be like spells that you might do, like a love spell or a money bowl,
or ones you find that you
or a puppet that you might want to make at some time. Maybe you come across something and it's like, oh, a talisman. What's a talisman? And how do I make one? And what are they, you know, so something like that. So recipes and spells. And then reflections and journaling. I'm going to come back to that one because I think that's a really big topic that I want to touch on. But then the other part is inspiration such as art, poetry, quotes, or snippets of text that you find that inspire you, that you can just like include somewhere on a page that goes with the page. Yeah. And then I think for me, one of the really important things from my experience with having 7 books that I've started is to create an index that makes sense. So I really have to plan, like, how many pages am I have 200 pages in this new book that I bought, 200 pages. How many pages of index or table of contents or whatever you want to call it, that's at the beginning. So the pages need to be numbered. And then you got to know what's on the page. So you got to write some kind of a description in that index. It's like page 1, whatever that is, whatever's on it.
So can I tell you guys what I do? Because I do an index sort of, but actually instead I'm really not as organized, I guess. I take washi tape of different colors, and then I create, you know, those little sticky things that go in binders so you can find
there's tabs.
Tabs. That's it. I create my own washi tape tabs.
So you can get from one section. That makes sense to me
because
too.
I already have washi tape, and like, so that just, they're not labeled really, but I'm like tab. Okay,
help you get to your sections easier.
And sometimes I color coordinate them because then the OCD kicks in.
So I want to come back to reflections and journaling. So for me personally, when I think about reflections and journaling, I think of my book of shadows. Because that's where I'm going to write down like all the stuff that's going on every day, that's going on in my family. It's like, it's pages and pages. It's pages and pages and pages
divination
of
messages.
Stuff. Yeah. It's everything. It's like, it's basically a diary. But in my grimoire, the way that I'm planning to approach reflections and journaling within my grimoire is to reflect and journal on the things that I've added to it, like on any spells that I've done or rituals that I'm doing. Like I'm doing a ritual every day to try to counter this sort of thing that I've gotten into about being really annoyed with everything that happens all day long at work. Like work is annoying, and I find myself all day long just like bitching. And I found myself, and I was like, I don't like that. I want to change that. So I've started this ritual that I do every morning where I light some sage. I light a candle. I light some sage. I do a couple minutes of just like meditation, and then I pull a tarot card to give me focus. And then as I go throughout my day, as I find myself, if and when I find myself annoyed over you guys, it's stupid stuff. Like somebody asked me for something, like, didn't you already ask me for that last week? Instead of that kind of a reaction to it, it's just go get the thing, right? And so when I find myself reacting like that, then I'd be like, nope, just stop being annoyed with it. It's just petty stuff. It's things that can ruin your day.
Petty annoyances.
But anyway, so that was a thing for me. So writing down something like that, where I'm like, and documenting that, where it's like, this is what I didn't like that I was doing, and this is the ritual that I created around that to counter that or to change that in myself.
Yeah.
And then I can see how I do. Like, am I going to be able to keep this habit up of not allowing myself to be annoyed with every little thing that annoys me at work, it's like driving.
It's so minor.
It's so minor. Seriously. It's like driving and people cut you off and then you get in a bad mood over it. Or you go to the store and it's really crowded and you got to wait in a long line and you're like, oh, every time I come to the store. And so that's that self-talk that's super negative. I have a habit of doing that. And it's something that I recognize and want to change. That type of stuff, that type of journaling and reflecting is something that I would do in there, not pages and pages and pages of all the things that are going on with everybody in my family and the ex and my grandson with his health issues and just all those things. Yeah. So the grimoire for me is not a place where I'm going to write long passages, shadow type work where I'm sorting things out or I want to remember what happened. But that's me personally. You may choose to do that differently. So, okay. So, she says, she's looking at me like,
no, looks, okay. No.
You're not judging me?
Always. I'm judging Jamie. I've literally been called that for a long time. No, I was thinking about what you were saying and I 100% get it. And that's why I've been alone. Before my husband, I was alone a lot in my life. And that's why my grimoire and my book of shadows really blended together. It was all the things in one because I felt like I didn't have the time to switch between the two. It was like when something happened, then I had a thought. It was like everything went into both of them. Now, in having an amazing garden that really allows me to go out and collect things from it, I want to do something that's like, here's what I have on hand and what I can use. Because when I have witch gatherings, I like it when people can go out and I'm like, collect things from the garden that you are attracted to. And then it's like, then we talk about, what it means if you collected a certain herb or flower, whatever it is. That allows for more deep discussion or just realization. So my next grimoire, which I haven't written because it's been before my new house, 6 years ago now for me. My new one is really going to include the things that I'm actually growing and what I'm going through right now that has helped me a lot. It's not going to be a lot of the stuff that was in there before because when I wrote it 6 years ago, I was, finishing up college and like starting this whole second life and it was just a very weird time back then. It's not who I am now. And so seeing that change, I'm like, oh yeah, I need something a little more concise where I don't get lost in all of the rabbit holes of, oh my God, cinnamon is like good for 20 different things and I should add it to everything and I should do this with it. No, I just need to give everything one specific purpose. And when I want that purpose, I go to that thing and then that's it. I don't need to know cinnamon's 20 different things. That's where I used to mess myself up in the past. I think the other thing to consider, so we've talked a lot about like what goes into your grimoire. What can you have in there? What is it for?
How's it organized?
Perfect. Yeah. How to start it. I hope that you guys don't have as much hesitation or fear with starting your grimoire, either by, if you're brand new and you have nothing, focus on one thing, collect like 5 of that from the category, write about them, see if you want to work with them, but don't just get a lot of shit. Please do not just get a lot of shit. Okay. In the end, you'll be like, this was really stupid. Okay. I see how this is overwhelming and nobody can use 2,600 different stones. I should have just gone through like, all right, here's 10, give them all meanings for yourself and then do it that way. But when we get towards the real part of buying the book, like Kat has really done, that's hard. It's very difficult to buy the book, the perfect book, because the aesthetics of it, right? That's what we're all kind of drawn to at first. Do you want it to look gold? Do you want it to be an e-book? Do you want it?
Wait. How many pictures are of there?
Thousands.
Are there out there?
Thousands.
Of this like book that's open and it's got all this cool like old
cool
English text in it and these
yeah.
drawings of things, and then there's all this stuff around and it's like, I want that. How come I mean, that I'm attracted to that. I like that. Like,
you can buy many pages to print out off Etsy for Grimoire stuff, in case you didn't know that. People create those things and then they sell them as bundles or whatever. So if you want that look but don't want to go through the hard work, you can do it that way. And guess what? You could Mod Podge that printout right onto that old looking book page.
Or you could take the approach of like, this is an art project. This is not just my transformation as a witch project or my journey as a witch project. This book is an art project for me. And I actually really love that, because when I'm feeling stressed or something, I can sit down and pick some pages and like, let's do some art. Let's get creative. Let's go find some things that I can, some plants, some flowers that I can press and then Mod Podge onto the page and then write about what they are. So I feel like I have, just with the little bit of research that we've done to do this course, or that I've done, I think you did some research, but for me, it's a lot more. I feel like I have this whole different perspective on what the grimoire is going to be and how I'm going to create it and how I'm going to approach it. And that it's not just a chore, because I feel like some of these things in the beginning were me like, well, I have to write this down, right? I have these roses that I dried, so now I need to know what the heck I'm supposed to use them for. I made this moon water, so now I'm having to write these things down. And it felt more like an assignment more than it did something that was coming from my heart, like it wasn't, I don't know.
It was like a have to rather than I really enjoy this, I want to do it.
Yeah. So that's what I feel like has kind of transformed for me over the last few days as I've done some research for this live tonight, is this understanding that the grimoire is more than just like, I'm just recording stuff. It's like
you're rewriting books. If you're doing that, you're just rewriting a book somebody already wrote, or a web page that somebody already wrote.
I've been doing that.
Yeah, you're just transcribing
because I didn't know any better.
Yeah, of course.
And so
because nobody knows where to start when they get into this.
Yeah,
I know.
And so now I'm going to approach this as more like an art. Like this really part of my heart. Is going to
put your personality into it that way.
Yeah.
It's okay, buddy.
Not just lists of things from other people's books that I transfer over.
Yeah.
Because that's what I was doing.
I think one of the things that always gets missed is we forget to ask ourselves, why are we doing that? Are we doing it because it feels like we're supposed to do that and everybody else is doing it and every other witch seems to have this and we don't have it? So if we do this,
Pinterest said we should.
It's just things like that where it's such a mixed message of practice. When we went over this in one of our meetings recently, it's like somebody wanted to start learning something. So they bought 10 things of this thing. And guess what? They haven't touched them since they bought them. The buying of the thing felt like they were making progress. But then when you get the thing, you got to spend time with it or learn about it or use it for something for it to truly make a personal connection with you, so that you're saying, all right, when I carry kyanite, I know exactly what kind of energy this is bringing into me. When I gift somebody smoky quartz, I know exactly why I'm gifting it to them, because they really need some absorption of negative energy. So when you start to classify it in your own mind because you've worked with it or used it for something, that's when you're going to remember it. Because I guess the other thing that always comes up with, teaching new witches is I say, all right, well, what's your biggest problem? I wish I knew what everything meant. Okay. As we all do, but you got to start in an area that really makes sense.
You wish you knew what everything went, but do you need to know what everything means?
No.
Or do you just need to know what things mean for whatever you're dealing with
your surroundings
right now?
Or like the progression of the grimoire for me when I first started was, what problems was I working through? And then what did I get that was to help me solve that problem? So, when family members cross over, I needed true healing. I really needed some spiritual guidance and just like an uplifted thing. And I used 2 stones for that. I used selenite because that is like moonbeams for emotional healing. And I think it helps me dream when I have it near me. And then I used amethyst to remember that the person that I loved is gone, but I can still have love here without that thing. Like it doesn't have to feel like it's all wiped off, right? Remembering that for me, the love doesn't go away, the physical body goes away. So when you think about your ingredients, your correspondences like that, What does it mean for you when you're holding rosemary in your hand? What does it mean for you when you hold sage in your hand? The smell, the texture, the taste of it, possibly, all these things. Most of these things are edible that we use in spells.
So it's funny that you say about the crossing over, because one of the things that I think about, like, I haven't had a lot of people around me die, but I know people who have had like lost children and lost spouses. Ooh. And what I want to do for them, what I've done is I have like 3 copies of the book Signs by Laura Lynn Jackson. I want to gift them to people, like after, not right away, but after like a year has passed or some time has passed, so they can sort of settle into their new life without their child or their spouse. But I want to give them a book that may help them start to recognize the signs, because I feel like the book is so, it's such a wonderful, I feel like it's just such a wonderful gift to somebody. So I could write about that and then have those copies. Yeah. And then, so with Jamie, it's stones to help her healing. And for me, I'm trying to help somebody else heal. Yeah. And so I have this plan, like I want to give them this book. Yeah. So these are the types of things that then start to make the connection between you and the things that you're purchasing and the things that you're acquiring, the things that you have all over your altar and on your shelves and in your drawers, and what they actually, what they actually mean for you. So I think that's really important. Yeah.
When you gather things, when you buy stuff, when you have things, make sure that as you get them, you have a purpose for them before you buy them. This will really help you eliminate a lot of purchases of just stuff that's pretty that you may not ever use in your practice. Of course, if you use things in your decor, hey, no problem. But for your practice, it's better to buy it when you need it than buy a bunch of stuff before you need it. I can tell you from all the witches that I've, I almost said trained, coached, when they buy too much stuff, they're overwhelmed. And then they feel like they failed already. They're like, I can't use all 30 of these. I was like, neither can I. I can't use all 30 of these things you bought. I'll tell you 6 things that I know really well, and then that's it. So think about it beforehand. Like, have a purpose for the stuff before you buy it. That's my advice for
it. I think the upside of that is then you can buy nicer things if you don't buy so much. If you're selective in what you buy, then you can afford to spend a little bit more money on them and get like a higher quality or a bigger crystal or something like that. If you're buying a crystal or you're buying something that's like you can spend a little more money on 6 things than you can on 60 things, right? Because the cost per is so much greater than if you're buying bulk. Like you buy a whole bunch of crystals and you're like, I have all these crystals. Now what do I do with them? Yeah. So,
because I guess the next gradual conversation after this, you guys, is like, I buy all this shit that's in my grimoire, and then where do I store it? How do I store it? How do I know what it is? How do I remember that mugwort? And I have 2 herbs that look very similar. Mugwort and, oh my gosh.
I don't know what mugwort
Can't remember. Is. It's very earthy. It smells kind of like dirt and weed mixed together. It's thyme? Because I haven't grown thyme yet, but I have a lot of oregano. Anyways, the herbs, when you put them in jars, look a lot alike. And so as you collect things that you do believe that you'll use in your practice, say in those 7 categories of, love, health, career, travel, whatever, then you got to store the things that you have. So even that comes into, you've got your grimoire, you've got the things that you're going to be using, and how this all goes together. This is where all the overwhelm comes in, Yeah. So before you buy, have a plan, have a need for it. I guess that's probably the best way to put it. Have a need for it.
Or just if you want to just get a cool aesthetic, then buy cool decorative stuff. But as far as the things that you're going to catalog and use in practice and use in your practice, like in rituals or spells or whatever, then make sure that you have a purpose for those. Otherwise, you end up buying a whole bunch of stuff, and then you have candles of every color around for like 10 years and you never use them. Yeah. So okay. Is that it? Shall we talk about,
the only other thing with buying the book eventually, right? So this is really about building what's inside of it. But when buying the book, I'll tell you that I travel with mine a lot. So whatever I buy, I know it's going to get messed up eventually. It's going to get sand in it. I'm going to spill probably coffee or drinks on it, because that's what I do when I'm there and getting in my vibe. and I have everything, candle wax, herbs on it, rain possibly if rain starts when I'm doing it, because I do a lot of stuff outside.
Cheers.
So I'm pretty good about, using my shirt for that. But so imagine when you do buy your book, like, do you want to travel with it? How big should it be? Should it be inconspicuous? Should you use a medium that is not as susceptible to water sprays or something? Those are just things to think about for the actual hard book of it. But I really encourage you to start the ugly grimoire first and just feel it out and put all your things in there and be like, okay, none of this, no pressure to be pretty, no pressure to be perfect. Do the ugly.
No $30 book, just a $5 notebook from Walmart.
$2.50. What are you talking about? School clearance stuff, just a spiral, and be like, all right, if I did it like this, does that make sense for when I want to go and do a spell and I want to use something?
Listen, all these little ones, like these little ones are so cute. So like I bought these little ones and I was going to turn each one into like a whole grouping. Like one would be astrology, one would be tarot, one would be plants.
Yeah.
And I thought I would have like a bookshelf of stuff and then I would put labels on them. Plants, tarot, astrology.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I was going to do.
You got overwhelmed? You were like, holy shit, I got to write a whole book.
I got to write a whole book.
That's
like
250 pages of a book.
They're like, how many? I mean, do I really have? I don't know how many pages. Super cute though, right? Can you see the design on there?
Yeah.
Super. I don't even know. There's like a couple. There's 150 pages in here, maybe. I don't even know. But I got. That's the purpose. When I bought them, that's what I thought. I was like, well, I can't get this stuff organized in one book. So maybe I need multiple books to organize. But I just didn't think about making sections and then just putting stuff in it that I'm only using now.
Yeah.
And that I'm only, that I have now, not everything that I read in other books and just transferring it over, which I'll tell you, many of the witchcraft books that I bought say, here's a table of correspondences you can copy into your grimoire. And I do it.
That's one of the last things.
Because that's what I do. I'm like, I'm good at following instructions.
Do you sometimes have your 2 books? You don't do you
I have one of them. I can get the other one.
We're going to go ahead and wrap this meeting up because we have now been on here an hour meeting live. Sorry. So used to meet up. But we want to tell you what?
It's a big topic though.
No, it is. It's really large. But now we're going to do additional videos that go with this. Kat and I are going to review 4 books, do videos on them so you guys can watch them, that are books published as grimoires, or even this one says Book of Shadows. I hope that that's the right way for you guys. I don't know how this thing works. But these 4 books that we have, 3 of which I have used and 1 which I got newly, but this girl is the one from Wiccan Tips. If you guys are on Instagram, she wrote this book. But we're going to do these 4 books because each one
we're going to review them.
We're going to review them. Each one is written a little differently, and they all give you a different way to start, organize, possibly a way to think about it. This one is very Encyclopedia Britannica, very well organized. I have some favorites about that. This one that says it's a Book of Shadows, it has lots of pages for journaling. I think that is so cool. And the artwork in here, I just love it.
This is a Green Witch's book. So it's a lot about nature and plants and natural things.
It's written like a true book. It's not like compared to these other guys where they're just like boom, 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 boom topics.
Yeah.
This is a novel almost.
And this one is
like a mini scrapbook. It's so cute. I love this book so much. So Kat, we put the 4 books out and we each chose 2, and she chose this one. I love this one. It is so cute inside. And I think it's more of my style as far as the way that I do my books. So you will find in the next 2 weeks that we're going to be coming out with these 4 book reviews to help you guys even further with ideas and suggestions on how to create your own grimoire, possibly / Book of Shadows. Listen, you can blend them. You're your own practice. You do whatever you want. But it's things to help you along that can make your practice easier for you so that when you want to do something, you're not searching 500 websites, 57 books.
7 journals that you started.
7 journals where you think you wrote something down that was important, but you can't find it. So
I know I wrote it down and I can't find it because I remember, or else I put it in a spreadsheet and then I can't find that either.
The idea of a grimoire is that it needs to be user friendly for you, just for you. Nobody else. Doesn't need to make sense to anybody else, but it should make sense to you. That's why we talk about putting your important topics in first. Leave all the other stuff behind. Do not transcribe other people's books because you may never use it. And then why is it taking up space in your personal book?
Okay.
So
all right, you guys.
Stuff. Oh my gosh.
I think that's it for us. We're gonna let you guys go before we're here for 90 minutes.
We can't before we actually start writing our own grimoires right here and start being like, here's how I would do it. It could get very elaborate. But thank you so much for joining us tonight. We really appreciate it. We hope you found this helpful and useful and that you can do something with it. If you have any questions, comments, please put them below. We're more than happy to answer stuff. I love that our comments were kind of short and sweet. I love all you guys for
thank you. Yes, thank
up.
you. Hello
Karina,
to everyone.
To say hi.
Selena, Jenny,
Nonica, Mole. I love
Denise,
Denise,
Mole.
Yeah, Kathy,
Amy, Kathy.
Thank you. Thank you guys for being here.
Corinne.
This is a big topic, and y'all stuck it through. We're so proud of you. We're patting you on the back and giving you like a clapping hands. Okay. All right. Love you guys. We'll see you next week for full moon.
All right. Bye.
Bye.